The mother of 3 from Arizona who contracted a flesh-eating bacteria after coming down with the flu is continuing her fight for life against all odds. Kristen Lipinski, 37, has undergone 10 surgeries to remove 30% of her soft tissue from her arm down to her thigh to beat the bacteria that began as just a small rash under her armpit. Sufferers often die within days of contracting necrotizing fasciitis, one of the most deadly flesh-eating bacteria, if they push on. It usually means amputating limbs to ensure their survival. However, the special ed teacher's husband Nate tells Daily Mail Online that while his wife remains heavily sedated, she is expected to survive and may even be able to walk. Here, a newly revealed photo shared by Kristen's family lays bare the horrifyingly innocuous symptom, a subtle rash just 18 hours before surgery, which led to the loss of her entire right side. A diagram designed by her doctor maps out the sheer scale of her infection. Kristen underwent her 10th surgery on Sunday, which showed no signs of infection remaining in her tissue. Nate, 36, said he is thankful that the bacteria did not get into Kristen's muscle or infect her limbs, as most people with necrotizing fasciitis become amputees. He said the prognosis is still good. She's young and healthy and her body has responded well. However, he added, we're not done yet. There's a chance it could still resurge. With physical therapy, Kristen should be able to walk, according to her husband. The physical therapist said the biggest issue will be the range of motion that spans from mid-arm to her mid-thigh. We don't know if she will be able to raise her arm up over her head, he said. Nate has taken time off from his job in law enforcement to be with his wife and care for their children aged 2, 6 and 8 who have not seen their mother for 2 weeks. Eventually, Kristen will need reconstructive surgery and skin grafts to piece together the flesh that was consumed by the bacteria. Nate added that it will be difficult trying to explain to his wife the trauma her body has experienced for the last 2 weeks. But he's looking forward to when she finally comes to. Necrotizing fasciitis spreads quickly and attacks the body's soft tissue, and the illness can become deadly fast. It is common to contract the bacteria through an open wound. The CDC recommends keeping wounds that are open or draining covered by clean bandages until they are completely healed. The bandages need to be dry when they are applied to the wound. People with conditions that impact the immune system should be particularly careful with open wounds, since their infection-fighting abilities are impaired. Necrotizing fasciitis is a bacterial infection that quickly kills surrounding tissue. Once the bacteria enters the body, it can spread to the muscles, nerves, fat and blood cells around the infected site, causing damage. Death can occur if it is not stopped quickly enough. Symptoms: treatment: strong antibiotics are imperative to treating the disease and are typically administered through an IV. Surgery is recommended when the antibiotics are unable to reach the tissue that has already been infected. This happens when the bacteria has prevented blood flow to those areas. If any of the infection is left in the body after surgery, it can cause organ failure and the patient will die. Kristen came down with a flu on January 11th, just as she seemed to be recovering. Her condition started worsening with an intense pain in her armpit that looked like a small rash. Eventually, Nate called an ambulance to take her to the nearest trauma unit where she was diagnosed with necrotizing fasciitis. Within 12 hours, Kristen had undergone 2 operations to remove 30% of her soft tissue in a desperate bid to kill the infection. Now, more than 2 weeks later, Kristen remains in intensive care and heavily sedated. She is expected to stay in that state for at least 2 weeks while on the maximum amount of pain medication. Kristen is running a mild fever, but that is somewhat expected with this wound size. Nate said her white blood cell levels are going down to normal in addition to her kidney functions. She now has a wound vac for the next 2 weeks to help speed up the healing, he added. The family has set up a GoFundMe to help with the escalating medical bills and to support Kristen after she is discharged, since she likely won't be able to work for at least 1 year. The account has reached more than 20,000 in 10 days. It is not clear how Kristen contracted the bacteria. While flu weakens the immune system, there is no known direct link with necrotizing fasciitis.